Welcome to The Explainer. We usually think of our relationships, our deep loves, our bitter rivalries, even just those fleeting encounters, as purely emotional or, psychological experiences. But what if there's actually a rigid, almost scientific structure behind them? Today, we're unpacking Shufang's really profound framework called the interpretation of predestined ties. We're going to explore a philosophical interpretation that frames spiritual destiny and connection not just as abstract, floaty feelings, but as absolute, inescapable cosmic laws.
Just picture this for a second. What if human relationships are governed by an inescapable physics of the universe? Like, what if every single time you interact with someone, you are actually weaving an invisible web of gravity and information? A web that connects you to everyone you've ever loved, everyone you've ever hated, and everyone you've ever helped. You are creating forces that literally pull you through time and space. That is the core premise we're unpacking today, and it is fascinating.
So, here is our roadmap. We'll kick things off with the physics of destiny, then explore the spectrum of karma, map out the ties of the mortal world, and finally, uncover the ultimate endgame, the law of ending ties. Let's get right into it.
All right, part 1, the physics of destiny. Let's look at the mechanics of these spiritual bonds. What absolutely blows my mind here is the vocabulary. We aren't just talking about souls and spirits, we're talking about energy and gravity. In this framework, a tie isn't just a memory. It is a literal bond of information that guarantees two lives will reconnect in the future. And why do they reconnect? Well, for one of three reasons: a favor, a disgrace, or an injury. Once this tie is created, its tractive force, its gravitational pull, becomes entirely inescapable. You're locked into a future collision with that other life. Think of it like a cosmic rubber band. Once it's stretched out, it absolutely guarantees a snapback.
And the way that collision actually happens operates exactly like the laws of physics. It starts as potential energy, quietly accumulating between two lives. Then, it doesn't just sit there, it circulates in infinite space and eternal time, just waiting. Until finally, at a very specific point in time and space, you meet. That potential energy transforms into kinetic energy. The energy is released, the event happens, and only then does the attraction force disappear. It's literally an energy cycle of human interaction.
Moving right along to part 2, the spectrum of karma. This is where we categorize those human and cosmic connections. Now that we know the physics, we can categorize the frequencies of this energy. Take good karma, for example. When you give someone a sincere blessing or favor, like, say, helping a stranded stranger, it creates a returning gravity, pulling a positive return to you in the future. But contrast that with evil karma, which is formed by hatred and debt. Maybe it's a bitter rivalry with a colleague or someone you deeply wronged. The terrifying but honestly very logical rule of this universe is that this debt never disappears until it is paid. The cosmic energy demands a perfectly balanced ledger.
It gets even more specific when we look at deep personal connections. Favorable ties are super interesting. When lives share mutual respect, love, and a strong desire to reunite, they actually leave information to be processed. This is stored in what the source calls the negative universe. It's essentially a cosmic hard drive or a waiting room holding that pure bond until those wills are realized. On the flip side, we have marriage ties. The source specifically defines the relationship between husbands and wives as, well, love-hate relationships. I mean, anyone who has ever bickered over loading the dishwasher knows exactly what that dual-natured reality feels like. It's a completely separate thing from the pure waiting energy of a favorable tie.
Okay, part 3, ties of the mortal world. Let's navigate the realms of existence. So, where do these invisible meshes actually exist? It all comes down to a vital rule: realm specificity. We have worldly ties, which are the debts and information left right here in the mortal world. We also have celestial ties, which are bonds established with higher celestial beings. But the absolute golden rule here is that ties must be ended exactly where they are formed. You literally cannot pay off an earthly debt in heaven. Worldly ties must be resolved in the mortal world, heavenly ones in heaven, and hellish ones in hell. You are firmly bound to the jurisdiction of your actions.
So, how in the world do we handle living in this complex web of realm-specific gravity? The source offers a profoundly simple concept called following predestined ties. Because the universe has a grand scenario and a plot, and these tractive forces are pulling you anyway, the most harmonious action is to just accept your assigned role and joyfully participate. Resisting the kinetic energy of a tie is exhausting, and frankly, it's futile. You really just have to embrace the script to let that energy release naturally. Which brings us to our final section, part 4, the law of ending ties. let's talk about escaping the invisible mesh. The source uses this absolutely incredible quote: "Divine punishments are slow but always sure, with big meshes, yet letting nothing slip through." This perfectly reiterates the inescapable motif we've been talking about. The web might seem loose, time might stretch on for what feels like an absolute eternity, but the mesh of the universe catches absolutely everything. Every single life is held completely, 100% accountable to the physics of their connections.
So, to escape this web, you must achieve one thing: end ties. And it is defined incredibly simply. End ties are when all debts are paid back. That is literally it. Resolving these massive, multi-lifetime cosmic forces all comes down to balancing the ledger. You must pay back every single debt owed, clear out the potential energy, and neutralize those attractive forces pulling on your life.
Here is the exact sequence of events required for a soul to finally leave the mortal world behind. Step 1. End all earthly ties. Good karma, evil karma, favorable ties, and marriage ties, every last bit of it must be resolved right here in the mortal realm. Step 2. By ending these ties, you neutralize the gravity holding you here, which allows you to avoid reincarnating back into the mortal world of samsara, that endless cycle of rebirth, just to settle old debts. And finally, Step 3. Free of the mortal mesh, you can enter heaven.
It is a profoundly structured way to look at our lives and our relationships, isn't it? It's not just about feelings, it's about physics, balance, and ultimate cosmic accountability. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to really reflect on today. Think about your own relationships, your conflicts, your unresolved history. What attractive forces do you still need to resolve in your own life's invisible mesh? What debts might you still owe? Thank you so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next one.